Dalton, and they pour him Paradise Lost, like, put it in a mask. They say, well, why don't you stick around and watch? I said, no, I'll be back to Carnival. And I came back and I was awestruck, dumbstruck. I was flabbergasted with all these nice, glorious words that I saw this so its work on the streets of Port of Spain, and to this day, I think it's the best band. His best band is River. But that was the genesis of the new mass following George Bailey. And I just want to mention that I spoke with our lady 7 years later, and I said, what's the thing I hear about you joining Minshall? He said, well, when George died, I had to go another step on the rung of the ladder, and I went to Minshall, and he said, but I tell you what, if George were alive today, I don't think that we would have had Minshall in a sense, because two-man rat can't live in one hole. And I think he was really big on his brother George, because George would not have been doing history mass like East Africa, Mary England, or Back to Africa, or Relics of Egypt. George would have matching Minshall, mass band for mass band. That would have been something for the ages. But it never happened. George died at 35, 1970. And so the work over 26 years inspired me to the depth that I had to rise up and explore this man in detail. And so I wrote a letter. I called him and said, I want to do something about your mathography. And he started some spiel about how the universe is patient. And he said he went into something about plants, Pan-born, and it's a big thing around the world. And what he was meaning is that, well, I'm ready. Yes. So I went down and it took me 5 years to get this thing out of his head. I could do 10 documentaries, but I did it 57 minutes because I have two versions. 187 minutes called Peter Minshall, Mathman Peter Minshall Festival cut, or extended cut. And at 87 minutes, I won the Trinidad Film Festival. And then I knew when we were entering into the New York Film Festival, I was out in England, and I wrote the editor an email and I say, step by step, cut this thing from 87 into 57, and here's all to do it. Right. I trust my editor so much that I was doing exhibiting the film in England, and when I came to New York the night before the festival, there was no film. It didn't arrive at FedEx, it was 4 o'clock, and I rang FedEx, and I said, man, I gotta have this film. We presented in New York, and I finally got it from 2 o'clock. And we raced out in the subway, and the train stopped suddenly and said, all passengers get off this line. There's an accident. And so I want to get out. It's 7 minutes of 4, and my tube is at 4 o'clock. It's a big thing in New York, but it is the village. And by the time we got out, I got a cab, my buddy and I we told the cab, I said, listen, man, you can do whatever you want to do. We got to get to this theater by 1 minute to 4. He said, no problem. And this guy went on 2 wheels all around corners. Finally got there about 1 minute to 4, and I rushed in, and I said, where are you going? I said, I'm the producer. I said, oh, okay, they're waiting for you. And I got in there, and they didn't know what to do with this full house. It was really a full house in New York. And they said, no, you don't have any time to I said, no, I don't want to see anything. I want to go see the projectors. I'm going to tell him that I have this new film, because he had his old DVD, the Jamaican version. And he said, but I can't put this on because I've never seen it. I said, we're in the same boat, brother. Put it all in. And that's, in a nutshell, how I went from 1976 to today. And what you see is the version I won the New York Film Festival, won the LA, South Africa, Columbus International in Ohio, and Sugar Falls Film Festival.
An amazing journey. Yeah. And I have to say that, well, from what I know of him, he has not always been accessible.
No.
So you have done an amazing...
I was in his head for a long time.
Yeah.
But the book is an unfinished work, I ran out of money. And as a matter of fact, yesterday I was interviewing Dr. Michael Jones, who plays a big character. He played War in the film, and he did a character people wouldn't know. but I'm featuring Michael, Dr. Jones as a key person because characters play a big role in Carnival Band. And so, so just today I was doing this, and so I intend to go back to the drawing board and do this whole thing and do an 86-minute version. People said, why are you stretching it out? I said, because this man is larger than life. And I got it, yeah. So you can't really tell it. And I sit here and I look at it and I go, oh man, God, give me more money. I had to beg for more money. I said, but you already have, you mortgage your house, you did a second mortgage, you empty your pension plan, your 401k. So what more do you want from us? Tell me more money. You know? So that's where I'm waiting for that so I can continue this. But the passion, you're right, the passion.
This is a committed filmmaker, and we're not committed in the sense that the subject matter is going to be any old film.
Yeah, because I'm saying if he can be painstaking about his math, because everything is detailed with him, you know. All creative people. George Bailey was like that, you know. And so I think I just want to portray a man who he was. I mean, he was a detail-oriented perfectionist, and I can't even hang, you know. I'm writing a novel like that. I can't even write one more page unless I finish this work. If I get the money, I'll do it, and I'm going to do it.
Wonderful. Let's give our audience the opportunity to pose a question. Yes, ma'am?
Hello. Hi. My name is Takia. And I actually thank you so much first for your contribution and the diligence in bringing the film forward.
Thank you.
I think it's very important work as a young person who I consider myself partially growing up in Trinidad until I was 10. And I remember seeing a lot of those costumes on the stage, and I always admired them. And so the question I have is, in your talks with Peter Minshall, and I'd actually like to get your commentary as well about kind of the status of just the artistry and the costuming that goes along, the stories and the costuming, because right now, when I haven't played Mass since '87, so it's been a long time. I'm hoping to go back in 2012. But for me, I'm not interested in wearing a thong and beads across the stage. That's not a real costume to me. So I'm trying to understand. I'd like to find out more about when you spoke to Peter Minshall, if he had any commentary about the status of where costumes are going, and in your experience, what you think is going to be happening with the artistry. And maybe there are people out there doing it, and maybe that's just what I see when I see the magazines come out. Maybe there's some, hidden costume, thing that's different from what I'm seeing.
Well, there's the last 5 minutes of it was going to take a shot, and he said he was shot, and he hit the ceiling because somebody said, I'm so sorry about your king, Minshall, because what the king was some attack about, which is a great idea. He did Santana attack about, now they have a kid. Now this kid got AIDS, you know what I mean? And so he's skinny. He can't bring a big mask, you know what I mean? So it's the power of the mask, you know? He's a king in his own right. And he said this cemetery of lifelessness, that's what he's talking about. The whole mask, all the kings and queens on the stage, that's a cemetery of lifelessness. And I still have a little life here. So it was a double meaning here.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. There's a hidden thing into that. I'm glad you brought that up. And as far as the artistry goes, some people are saying that Brian McFarlane is the savior because he's just like Minshall. And I cringe when I hear that because, nobody's like Muhammad Ali, and nobody's like Michael Jordan, nobody's like God, you know what I mean? Minshall is Minshall, and that's it. It's stop, end of story, I have no beef with Brian McFarlane. It's an asinine conversation to begin with. And whatever he's doing, some people are gravitating towards that kind of mask because they find no sustenance, as you say, with the other mass in Trinidad. And, I was telling someone, I said, I don't want to go back to Juba anymore because it seems so lifeless and empty. The streets are empty. There's nothing happening. The people don't play the classes anymore. He says, brother, let me tell you something. Leave these people alone. You and I know what it was like in the old days. And we have memory, and that's important. So, you just think back to that memory, and your father will come back down here. So I think maybe that's where Hannibal might be heading until they get some sense and say, well, let's do something. Let's rejuvenate the culture. And maybe Minshall will come back on again. And I have no doubt that he will. He has, it is absolutely crazy if Minshall doesn't find the wherewithal to bring another band, even if it's one last fling.
I think we've always seen Carnival with a certain measure of the sacred existing with the profane. And perhaps, as Dalton is saying, film can be a medium to remind us of this wonderful history that brought us to where we are, and that certain aspects of the sacred are necessary today. It's almost as if you've captured Minshall bringing his own pain to Carnival, and finally now being able to exercise himself to do other things.
Right.
I hope we've answered your question.
You did, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Conway Johnson, and I was a longtime member of, back in the day when we had chapters of Trans-Africa. I was a member of the D.C. Metro chapter, and I've been affiliated with them since '79. But I guess it's more of a comment than anything else. I first want to really applaud the producer, the gentleman
Dalton, Narine.
I want to applaud him because I've seen aspects of Carnival on the world stage presented, you know, just a little snippets here and there. But this is truly, truly your passion, because it impassioned me and brought me to tears. I don't think I've ever seen anything presented Carnival in the diaspora the way that I saw it done this evening, and I think it was just a tremendous piece.
Thank you.
Tremendous. And I'll just close by commenting, because I think my question was answered while listening to you speak about what it took to get there. And that is, one day I hope to be able to rent, you know, a video or in some form, because it really does need to be shown in churches, in schools, and people interested in the arts, people interested in who they are and where they come from. So I can see this being shown in many, many places and situations. So I'm just prayerful, you know, the power of prayer. I'm just prayerful that your passion will get to a point where it will move to a point where it will be easily accessible.
Well, the prayers have been answered. It's outside the selling for $15. It's on the website, www.massmanthemovie.com. It's selling on the website, massmanthemovie.com for $19.95. Tonight, special $15. And we got both versions. The one that won the Trinidad Festival, 87 minutes, and we got the one that you just saw here. By the way, the one that you just saw, there's a bonus feature called Rat Race, and Paul Keynes Douglas is narrating in his own jocular way of spoken word. He's narrating this band while the band is going across the stage. So that's the bonus feature in this one. So you might have a choice, well, which one am I going to take? And I know people buy both of them. But anyway, it's $50 outside. And thank you very much for your comment.
And let me just say to you that the enormous sacrifice that it takes just to get something like this moving, because there are other filmmakers who can get seed money that you know, and put together just a little tidbit and they get all their money. I can bet. I mean, I can almost hear it. His pockets are burning.
I will never, ever make back.
That's what every filmmaker says.
If I win, too long.
I just want you to appreciate that what you have seen tonight is a labor of love, and that our filmmakers deserve some special recognition just for what they do. Ma'am, you be the last.
Thank you very much for this extraordinary film. Peter Minshall has always been so incomprehensible to me, and tonight you've helped me to understand the complexity and the pain and the introspection and the enormous talent of this wonderful Trinidadian. I wonder whether or not we couldn't also have these narratives in a print medium, because this work is not easy to digest. You know, it would be like making a film of the Odyssey, but never having had the book to read. And we would really, it's something to think about, another avenue for generating income, perhaps. But the narratives of the interpretation of these pieces, they're well worth being documented and provided to us to help us better understand Peter and enjoy him even more.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you. I've got good news for you, because the Carnival Company in Chaguaramas, they documented every little history over the years, whether it be film or archival images, and they're doing it the right way. You know, like if you ask the Carnival Committee in Trinidad or the Ministry of Culture, you have Max Awansman for 1975. What you know, we don't know anything about that. But that's what that Minshall's Carnival Company is doing, and they're also in the throes of writing a book right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to give Dr. Claire Nelson, who is of the Institute of Caribbean Studies, one of our sponsors, the opportunity to say a few words tonight.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for saying. Thank you so much for that movie. Everybody has said some of what I wanted to say or the question. But something was said that just struck me. When Peter said something about our notion of art is that we pay to go into a building and we look at the walls and we say, wow, this is art. But in the context of the Trinidadian experience, it is the people who play mass, who pay to go out and make art. And the reason why it's striking, I want to make a point. This year is the UN year of the people of UN International Year of People of African Descent. And one of the questions of the development specialists have been grappling with this notion of reinterpreting what is, quote unquote, high art and low art, classical music and unclassical music. And how do we as Caribbean people, as African people who have created new art out of our experience and Peter's interpretation of our carnival and making it, quote unquote, high carnival art. And he said, so you said something, or the narrative said something like, if he was in Germany or somewhere, this would be considered high art. And the dancer said, how I make the puppets move is the same as Baryshnikov. And I want those of us here to hear that, so we can deepen our understanding of the contributions of our work. Buy the movie so that you can show it to your children, so they will not believe that carnival is just rotating, oscillating, and gyrating in South and Georgia Avenue. We have got to dispel that myth. So please, I'm just making the 3 points, but if you have time, you will see, go to www.CaribbeanAmericanMonth.org, and on June 19th, we're going to have a groundation, a reasoning about African roots, R-O-O-T-S, and Caribbean American roots, R-O-U-T-E-S, where we can talk some more one-on-one about this conversation. But thank you so much for your work, and thank you for being here this evening to share your platform. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We need to clear the stage. I want to thank Dalton and Narine for this time. All right. And the next film up, we have started The Life of Music of Lee Crashberry.